So, Coulson, how was your birthday this year?
I'm assuming it was amazing. I'm going out to lots of dinners.
Multiple dinners.
Multiple dinners, and then my folks are coming into town, so... And then I'm assuming
Different.
we'll have dinners.
Yeah. These are on different days, right?
Yeah.
You're not just doing 5 dinners in one day.
No.
I don't want to limit you and say you can't.
Sure, I appreciate that.
It seems difficult. Unless you just eat salad and maybe an appetizer.
Some water.
Maybe.
I'll just have water.
For dinner.
At my 5th dinner.
Yeah.
I could do like a progressive dinner where, I just have an appetizer, then a soup, then a salad.
You could.
Then a main, then a dessert.
But everybody else that you're with is not in on it?
Yeah, they're having... They're all having their whole meals.
And then you say, well, it's been a wonderful evening. I will be spending
the next 20 minutes over at the restaurant next door with cooler friends.
Exactly. Yeah. I have reservations in 10 minutes. I've got to leave.
Yeah. I didn't realize you were that cool.
Yeah, happy birthday to me. I'm cool. Yeah.
Very cool. Happy birthday. Or as my son says to me, probably a couple times a week, happy birthday!
He likes it when it's your birthday, or does he like it when it's his birthday?
I mean, a little bit of... He just likes birthdays. Yeah. His own birthdays are great. So, he did tell me he has 2 birthdays a year. One was in September and one was in October. He decided not to split them up further, but I guess maybe, fall is the season, the birthday season.
Yeah, he could have gone with a half birthday. He'd have a summer birthday. No, didn't want to do that.
I'm not going to tell him how to live his life. Have your birthday when it feels right to you.
You're a very understanding father.
Yeah, so just prepare to...
It'll be great.
It'll be perfect. Yeah, so just prepare to...
Y'all motherfuckers don't watch us play throughout the year, to tell you the truth. I'm gonna be real with you, and I don't care if I get fined.
That train is off the track.
I feel like you can't just jump through Neptune and be okay.
Just prepare to.
What the show needs is more dogs and bears and chickens and stuff.
Yeah, so just prepare to be awash in unbeatable goodness.
Welcome, Pacers fans. You are listening to the Undebeatables, your semi-weekly Pacers podcast. This is episode 755. Coming to you from Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm your host, Joey Gaffrida, the man behind the dials. This show, we're going to dig into... Wait a minute. The schedule here says it's all Undegoogleables this week. Is that right? Ooh. All right. We can do that. I didn't prepare. Normally, I do a lot of preparation, which is against the spirit of the game. But
it is, yeah.
It's usually for the wrong things anyway, so I never know what we're going to do. This week, we're going to do a bunch of Undegoogleables. We've got a nice, long list of things that we want to know more about. Some of the things we're probably a little scared to find out the history of, but we're going to dig in to a bunch of these. But before we do, though, I need to introduce the rest of the crew. Joining me this show are all 3 of our analysts, coast to coast, like buttered toast. First, from the high school home of Jameson Brewer, Silver Spring, Maryland, it's the Doctor, Jason Triplett.
What is up, Pacers fans? What is up? Undebeatable. Shout out to April. Hopefully you survived whatever pranks happened to you earlier this week. Sorry about that one, Harper.
You will be
These are
forgiven.
dangerous pranks, huh? All right.
Speaking of April, my wife is loving the fact that Easter is on April 20th this year, and now she's asking everybody, "What are you doing for 420?" We're getting together with family and having a brunch is what we're doing, but
And talking about Jesus.
yes, and bunnies and
Eggs.
eggs and chocolate and stuff. So, and then we're getting high. All right. From Asheville, North Carolina, he's our in-house bartender, mixing up the drinks and the crappy jingles. John Colson.
What is up, Pacer Nation? What is up, Undebeatables? Happy oops all undegoogleables.
Yeah. Happy Oops on the Goobles to you, too. From Tacoma, Washington, out west, it's our enforcer, John Harper.
What is going on, fellas? It's been too long since we had an oops on the Googleables.
Yeah.
They used to happen all the time during COVID.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into this show, we do want to remind listeners they can support us, the longest running Oops All Undegoogleables podcast, by heading over to patreon.com/undebeatables. You can support our show for as little as $1 per month. All right, we've got quite a list here of Undegoogleables, and for those maybe not so familiar with it, is we get either from us or from folks writing in, there's something they don't know, and we're gonna collaborate in the spirit of just making the world a little bit a better place for once, and we're gonna get you to the right answer. We're gonna check it and see where Google went wrong.
Oh, are we doing under Googleables?
That was the plan.
Super excited.
You told us we had to, so.
He said we signed up for it.
In the end, it's going to be better and more true than Google can give you.
The first one we have here, we have a lot of origin of phrases that people want to know about. The first one I got here, Colson, this came in from you. Cross the line. Tell me why. What do you want to know about this?
This actually was a submission from fan of the show, my fellow bartender Patrick. We were talking about I had to ban a guy last night, and I was telling him the guy had crossed the line. I was telling the story, and he's like, "That's a good one. You should do that for Ungoogleables." I'm like, it's easy. It's just somebody crossed the line. There's a barrier there, and he's like, "Yeah, but what line?" And I was like, "I don't know, an out of bounds line. The equator." And he's like, "Well, that's the point. What line?" So I was like, "Okay, we'll talk about it," and figure we'll give it a go. Cross the line. What do you think?
I also thought it was particularly easy, but it's the proverbial line in the sand, right? Like,
Okay. So you draw a line in the sand, and then you
don't
cross
come
it.
across this line, bro.
Bruh.
It's like it was originally invented by siblings sharing a room. It was like, this part is mine, that part is yours.
Okay. So do you think it was originally tape or string, or just an invisible line?
It's a 50s sitcom. I guess I'd always sort of imagined that it was like the Rubicon.
Okay.
So maybe it goes back to Caesar. It's interesting that you said the equator, though. Why the equator?
I don't know. I was just trying to think of like the meridian. I don't know. I was trying to think of major lines on Earth that we think of.
The Rubicon's a good one because it is kind of like there's no going back once you've crossed the line, right?
Yeah. There is a naval tradition of crossing the equator. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, I think you just like party. So I don't
Oh.
know how that fits.
Why?
in.
Well,
Cool,
actually,
so why not?
yeah.
Why not like the Antarctic Circle or the Arctic Circle?
The Tropic of Cancer.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
a
so
Capricorn
if you're-
guy
if-
myself.
If you're seafaring and you cross the equator line, you have a party. It's like
Yep.
being in international waters or something.
No, it's just, the first time you cross the equator is like a big
Big deal.
deal. Yeah. But it must be an old tradition, but they still do it.
They still do it. I like that. Because when you cross the line, don't you sort of? I mean, I guess we think of it more as.
Well, I think of it more as like breaking a rule. or
Breaking
something
a
like
rule.
that. And so now,
Yeah, instead of partying.
now the consequences are going to come down on you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's beyond
you-
the pale.
Yeah, exactly. Which we also need to discuss
I've
at some
just
point.
answered
Probably.
an undegoogleable with an undegoogleable. But yeah, I also think of it as a form of transgression, right? Which
Yeah.
is why I always thought of it as, a sort of Rubicon sort of thing, right? Because at that point, you have crossed a line. There is no going back, and you're in trouble.
But was crossing the Rubicon a transgression? This is where I need some historical context. I mean, I know the phrase "crossing the Rubicon," and I once upon a time knew when and where it happened. But can you fill us in?
I believe that was when Caesar marched his army across the last river home, and he was officially taking over.
Okay, got it.
So once he crossed it, there was no going back.
Yeah. That was basically the incitement of the Civil War
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay,
that brought him to power.
Joey, you got thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, really my thoughts start kind of, Jason, where it's the line itself is, it's a proverbial line. It doesn't matter what it actually is. It's just that this is a boundary, and if it were to be crossed, there would be consequences. I just think that's something it's just a part of everyone's life, But it's a daily thing, whether you're bartending or you're with a child or somebody you're friends with, or there's always people gonna be acting a fool. As it were.
So it's keeping your boundaries. There's a place that people can't go, and you live in a world of lines, Joey.
I do, yeah. Well,
And there's no way this doesn't come from Ghostbusters, like crossing
Yeah.
streams.
Don't cross the streams.
Okay,
I think it's
I
been
was-
around longer than the
Probably
84
pre
or whatever.
Ghostbusters. Okay.
Yeah.
I also think of Johnny Cash's "Walk the Line," but I know it's well. You know what? I mean, I feel like that's you're not crossing the line, but you're walking the line.
Yeah, walking the line's more confident than towing the line.
Yeah,
Good call.
it's true. Yeah,
But if you're walking the line, you're right. You're just playing with fire, gonna cross it at any moment. So
yeah.
You might fall off the line and
Do a
fail
ring
the
of fire.
sobriety test. The ring of fire. Yeah, I don't know what other kind of lines there are outside of proverbial lines. And,
the only other one I
and-
was thinking was the line of succession to the throne. If you
Okay.
cross the line of succession, you're diluting the power. I guess it's a little, or merging the powers of different things. But
Or more Civil War possible etymology.
So I like the Romans as the beginning of this, or
Military.
yeah, or Shakespeare.
Yeah,
I
as
don't know
far
that
as how far it goes back, yeah, I would say people have been crossing lines. Like you said, Joey, everybody's got a friend just acting a fool. I mean, that goes back to the beginning of time. Tuk-tuks, they're like, come on. Jut. Stop being a jerk.
Jut's always up to something, you know? Everyone's got a jut in their life.
Well, interesting. According to... What is Google's AI thing?
Gemini.
Bard?
Gemini.
Wait,
Gemini
what-
says
what
it
was
originates from the nautical tradition of a ceremony performed when a ship crosses the equator. for the
Looky
first time,
there. Looky there.
where sailors who haven't crossed it before, known as polywogs, undergo initiation rites to become shellbacks. Let's see. The ceremony featured a character representing King Neptune, who presided over the initiation. The polywogs are put through a series of often humorous and sometimes uncomfortable tasks, culminating in a sea baptism. And then, after successfully completing it, they become shellbacks.
I don't understand how that came to me what it means.
Right.
No, me
Yeah,
neither.
I'm also seeing some other potential related sources where ancient, like Phoenicians, would pass through the Straits of Gibraltar. Same idea as what the modern people would do on the equator. But yeah, I mean, I get I understand why it would be celebratory to cross that line, because it's, you're sailing the seas, and this is something that you only get to do once.
Sure. And once
But-
you've done it once, you're now somebody who's crossed the equator, so that you can't go back.
Yeah, and you can't go back. But I mean, I feel like the tone, or the understanding now is that when you cross a line, it's something that's bad. It's like,
Yeah,
always
you've
bad,
overstepped
right?
your
Like,
bounds, right?
Yeah, and these Navy folk, it's just a celebration. Unless, Colson, will you celebrate when you kick this guy out?
Oh, yeah. It looks like we've got originally published in 1589, according to this.
There's also, there's a phrase, crossing the red line, I guess, which is similar. Traces back to the Red Line Agreement in 1928 between oil companies in Britain, the U.S., and France, and at the time of the end of the Ottoman Empire. The former empire's borders were unclear. To remedy the problem, Armenian businessman Calouste Gulbenkian took a red pencil to draw arbitrarily the borders of the divided empire, which is basically Turkey, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, like the Saudi peninsula.
There was also a myth around the siege of the Alimony. William Barrett Travis drew a line in the sand with his sword and urged those willing to stay and defend the fort to step across it. But that appears to have been invented in the 19th century, but may have helped popularize the phrase.
Okay.
And then there's another military one from the Macedonians invading Egypt.
So it seems
Feels
like
pretty
it
military.
no one exactly knows where it comes from, but
Yeah,
lots
it's
of
just
origins.
it's just one of those things that just makes sense.
yeah.
I can get behind that. So we nailed it, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
Actually-
nice job, Harper, with the boat crossing the equator.
Yeah. It's clutch.
Okay, well, Harper, I want to move on to the next one, and you already mentioned something. Another one of Colson's questions. Beyond the
Colson
pale.
has so many questions.
Well,
Got a
he
lot of
does,
questions.
but Harper, you brought this up in the last one. Well, I want to hear what you think beyond the pale means, because I'm not always clear on what this means. I've seen it used a lot of different ways.
Yeah. So as a saying, it is. Yeah, I mean, it's, you've crossed a line. You've gone beyond the acceptable norms of human behavior in some way. It's beyond the pale. That's how I would use it.
So very similar to cross the line.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe a bit more extreme.
I think that was also, I want to say it was a Jim Gaffigan stand-up album, but he's super pale, so
Yeah, he might have come up with it then.
he's famously terribly white.
Is this a death thing?
That's what I always assumed.
When you've gone beyond the pale,
Beyond the.
Oh, sure.
Or do I just think that because it rhymes with veil? The veil of shadows.
Interesting. I was thinking if you're sick, then you get pale. And
Oh,
wan.
you're not just pale, you're beyond pale.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. So it's not. I was always thinking like it was kind of a bucket.
Oh, like
Oh.
PAIL.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay,
Oh.
beyond the pale. But again, it would be a death thing because you've already kicked the bucket.
I've already kicked the bucket. I'm beyond the pale.
Have we done kick the bucket before? I feel like we have.
I believe
Yeah.
you did. Yeah.
I feel like
Was
we
that from
did.
hanging?
I think yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the morbid ones.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, we had a few morbid ones early on.
Colson, you submitted this. What's the context of where you?
Well, it was the same conversation.
Ah. Okay. Gotcha.
Across the line, and then that reminded me of Beyond the Pale. Because in what sense is pale something you go beyond, right? Like I like your idea that you're so sick that you're beyond pale, but like it feels like beyond the pale. It's not beyond pale. So what's the pale?
It's like a noun, right? What would the pale?
Yeah, what would
I mean, that's how it's.
Is
What would
the pale?
The pale state of sickness.
Well, it's like Harper said. It's like crossing a line, but seems more dramatic or more offensive, right? It's
Right.
So is pale a line?
It's not even something that humans do.
Yeah.
That living humans.
I was thinking, it was like, we think of
So-
dead things as, amoral, right? So,
So vampires,
yeah, vampires.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm into it.
And how long do we think people have been saying this beyond the pale?
Oh, I think forever.
Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
Forever, ever?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think whenever vampires were
Like
invented.
Dark Ages, right? Like that
So
was the
Dark
Yeah.
Ages.
maximum, like weird spiritualism period.
Sure.
I feel like we've had lots of spiritualism periods.
I mean, I would say that the Dark Ages before Christianity pounded all of those into the ground was probably
Okay, fair
the
enough.
height.
Did they?
They sure
Oh, no,
tried.
that's
like,
right.
oh,
You know what? I did see something once or twice in the history books.
What
Is,
other?
is this a Shakespeare thing, potentially?
Okay, it definitely.
Ooh, I like that.
yeah, definitely feels
it's
Shakespeare.
very poetic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I go Shakespeare.
Because I think it would be sort of after the. I agree with you that the idea maybe came from the Dark Ages, but I feel like there's a lyricism to it that
it's too of yeah, and it's also evocative of something that I don't know. It seems to suggest bigger ideas than the Dark Ages had. That's what I'm going
Yeah.
with.
It's a little obtuse, right? Like,
I mean, if we are interpreting the meaning correctly, yes.
yeah.
Now, if it is a PAIL,
It's something to do with milking cows.
We had so much milk it went beyond the pail.
Like onto
Yeah.
the ground.
Milk that cow beyond the pale.
You can't let that happen. It's
Just
good milk.
It's gross, man.
Okay, that's my vote. I'm going.
We got you from
Going.
Shakespeare to cow milking.
That's right. I'm gonna go sort of pre-Civil War,
Post cow.
post-cow, pre-Civil War. Yeah, let's say Tennessee.
Ooh, that's pretty specific.
Yeah, cow milkers.
But so you're not going with like a specific person, but also cow milkers.
Yeah,
Not Kentucky.
Milkmen
Right.
and milkmaids.
No, we just had a nautical thing. Is there any nautical pail
Oh
things?
yeah, it's all, or horse racing. Are there pails in horse racing?
What about the
Pale
sunset
rider?
maybe, or the horizon? Could that be a pail?
No, I don't feel like I've ever heard it
I mean, I don't either.
referred
but-
to that way. But
Okay. Is the pail like the keel of the boat? It's like, I don't know.
I've not heard that. It is now.
All right. Anybody else got anything else?
no, I'm sticking with Shakespeare. That's my. Turns out it's geographic, potentially. So there was the English controlled a small area around Dublin known as the Pale. It's considered the center of English authority in Ireland. And the rest of the island was seen as wild and barbaric. So being beyond the Pale means being outside of
It's being Irish.
It means being
Yeah,
Irish.
it means being Irish.
Perfect.
Yeah. Comes from the word Latin palus, meaning stake or fence.
So the pale was a fence in Ireland, where the English were colonizing.
Within
Right,
the
okay, it
pale
was a-
ditch, settlers lived under the protection of the crown. So it was.
Oh, so it was a ditch.
Well, it was. Yeah, it was a region. It was an area
Okay.
under English control. Why it was called the Pale? I guess because it was named for a river.
Let's see.
So-
The king's perimeter was marked with wooden fence posts pounded into the Irish turf. These posts were called pales.
Interestingly,
offensive
there's
to
also
Irish
a
people?
Russian version of this. So there's the Pale of Settlement, which existed from 1791 to 1917 in the Russian Empire, where the Jewish people were mostly relegated to living.
Yeah, pale is a wooden fence stake or fence piece.
So yeah, I'm reading that
So there was another
the, Engli-
term for pale.
the English settlers were forbidden to intermarry with the Irish. It was illegal to speak Gaelic, and the glib was banned. Glibs were the fashionable Irish hairstyle of the day, hair cropped very short up top and in the back, with long fringy bangs around the face.
It's like a reverse mullet.
It is like a reverse mullet. It's
It's a party in the front, business
party
in the back.
front.
Yeah.
Shakespeare also uses the figurative sense of pale in The Winter's Tale when he writes about the red blood reigns in ye winter's pale.
Of course, Shakespeare.
You can still see the Pale today. There's some sections of a ditch that are still there. You can go beyond the Pale anytime you can take a trip to Ireland.
So the first English version of this is from 1657 in a John Harrington poem, The History of Polander and Flostella. And then, what was the Russian? When did the Russian thing? Oops. Go.
Catherine the Great. So 1791. Pale of statement from Catherine the Great that kettled the Jewish people into designated living areas.
Mental floss has a figurative use of pale from a 1483 translation of Dvoragin's Golden Legend. Pale to describe permissible conduct in the monasteries. Monks with him went for to dwell in desert, for to keep more strayly? I don't know what this is even supposed to be. The profession of their pale. This is back when they used a Y in every word. There's 2 Y's in that word. I don't know. Straytelly?
Why not?
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, it looks like this
Okay.
Beyond the Pale thing is the 1300s, and yeah, they were writing about it after that.
Okay.
And Shakespeare picked it up.
So we nailed it.
We get, partial credit at least.
Well, there's a curve, right?
Whee!
All right. I'm feeling pretty good about that. You guys got some more knowledge in you want to get out?
I got time for one more.
Let's do one more.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to get this one, and this one came in from host John Harper. Table leaf. Harper, my understanding, table leaf is it's a table that's, at heart it's a transformer, and they can
That's right. Spirit animal
can change its shape.
transformer.
yes.
It's an extender,
So-
table extender.
Yeah, so you've got a table, usually like a dining table that, the way I see it is generally you would have it to be, like, maybe most of the time you'd have it as like a, 4-person table, but then you can slide it out and then put the leaf in, which is an extender, like you say, and maybe it'll seat 6 or 8 or something like that. So maybe when guests come over, kind of thing.
Yeah. It's a
So-
pretty cool thing too.
Yeah.
The underneath these, the leaves usually sit inside the table, or at the very least, the table pulls open on some sort of gears and contraptions. Table leaf's pretty impressive. Pulleys and whatnot.
You got pulleys on your table?
Hell
Whoa.
yeah.
Whoa.
Did you make this one?
Rubber bands and scotch tape, buddy.
I don't know
That's
how to
not
make
a
a
pulley,
pulley
my
out
dude.
of that.
Now, question: does the leaf have to go in the middle? Because we have a table that extends, but the sort of additional part goes on the end.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I had one like that too at some point in the past, and I guess the function is the same, but is it still called a leaf
Yeah.
though?
Right.
Or are they
Yeah.
roots? Or roots?
Yes. or roots, as
Branch.
I've heard them.
Roots.
That's a good question. I feel like I don't know. I feel like no. I feel like that's not a leaf, but maybe.
I feel like leaves are detachable.
Okay.
You'll be
Or
able
at
to take
least
it with you.
hide away.
Yeah.
Well, this one hides away
know-
still. So
Yeah, like the one table I had was. It had like two like kind of flaps on the outsides that hung down, and then you could swing them up to where they were, parallel with the rest of the table, and then there was a thing that slid underneath it to keep it, to hold it up, which changed it from like a 2-person table to it was like 6.
I think those are just what are they
But
called?
that's not- I wouldn't
wings or something.
I wouldn't it would be more like a wing, not. I wouldn't consider that a leaf.
I think a leaf has to go be surrounded by both sides of the table. That's what I'm going to
buy
go with my
that.
definition.
But why is it a
And-
leaf?
yeah, do you think that relates to the name leaf?
Well, I mean, I'm not going tree on this. I'm going paper, leaf of paper,
Okay.
right? And that's
What
as far as
about-
I went.
What about Leif Erikson?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, it's not LEAF, it's LEIF. It's table
Yeah.
life.
Living that table life. Yeah, I have no idea on this one. I mean, I kind of get the idea, Colson, that like if you had a folio or something like that, a leaf is a sort of interchangeable. A leaf paper would be an interchangeable piece or something like that in that form, so you could take it out or put it in.
Yeah, loose leaf paper.
Mm-hmm. Which I like, but I still don't understand how it adds to sort of extending. And guess it, unless there's like, yeah, you stick a piece of paper in to separate two sections or something like that.
And why are, why do we call papers leaves?
Yeah. Why is it loose leaf paper?
Yeah.
The leaf part, I mean, I guess they're all tree products, right?
Okay,
Like the wood
okay.
and the paper. Those are all related, at least in that way.
Yeah, but we don't talk about the trunk of the table, you know?
We don't. Not enough, in my opinion. You know? Right. Yeah. I mean, I it is. So, I mean, like a leaf, a tree leaf. You know, it is detachable. And similarly, loose leaf paper is, you know,
Loose,
it's unattached. It can go do where it wants. It can fly away in the breeze and clutter up my neighbor's yard,
Ideally.
get in my gutters.
Ideally your neighbor's yard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'd always just thought of it as the smallest sort of, constituent tree part, right? That was like as complex as I thought it might have been.
Yeah, so it's the simplest form of a table. It's basically just a piece of wood.
Yeah.
It's just
So
a piece
you
of
can
wood.
just, like, slap it in there. Boom. Now you go from a 4-top to a 6-top. Or an 8-top.
I mean, yeah, I don't know of a better alternative term. I'm thinking like, like, oh, honey, grab the plank.
But see,
Yeah,
why
the
not?
plank.
Like
Like
if you'd spent your whole life
bridge or
saying
something? I don't know.
grab the table slat, you'd be like, sure, it's a table slat.
Yeah.
Slats are smaller though.
Okay, sorry. Okay, the table plank.
Yeah. Maybe it's just because plank has a negative connotation from, pirates.
Walk the plank.
Oh, I was thinking negative connotation for exercise.
That too.
Also, yeah.
What about a leaf as a bookmark? You put a leaf in to hold two pages separate, and then that translated to holding two parts of your table separate.
I thought you were just pressing your leaves. Are you actually using it as a bookmark?
Sure, why not?
I've just never done that. I don't bring in trash to use for.
I was thinking about
bookmarks.
before we had these fancy dancy crocheted bookmarks or whatever people have nowadays.
I thought you were gonna. Anything can be a bookmark, my man.
Yeah.
Tissue paper or a leaf.
It could be, but you wouldn't put. I don't know.
Yeah, what other kind of trash do
I
you
think
use
that's
for bookmarks? Got tissues and leaves.
Old straws that he finds on the ground.
That's right. That's right.
String and tape,
my buddy
your
used to
pulley
work.
system.
I have a lot of librarian friends, and they told me that at some point a book got returned with an uncooked piece of bacon in it at the library.
There you go.
Well, bacon. Is there
Wow.
anything it can't do?
They can tell you where you were in your book.
But then you can't read any of the words again. On that. All right, and there aren't. Are we missing a whole world of leaves out there that we?
I feel like we are.
Probably.
Because it's only tables, right? Like, is that what you...
Yeah, or like in any other context. I mean, we have been focusing on loose leaf paper and actual leaves of trees, but are there other leaves
There's leaves of grass.
in the world? There are leaves of grass. There are loaves of fishes. Loaves and fishes? Something like that.
I think it's loaves. I don't think it's leaves.
No.
What about eat shoots and leaves?
Sure. Yeah. The Toronto Maple Leafs. Does this refer to them in any way?
Oh, you think it's a leaf because it's that piece of wood leaves the table?
Yeah,
Maybe.
it disappears into its underbelly.
Mm-hmm.
The table's underbelly. So yeah, I'm now changing. I'm saying it's leaves of grass. That's Walt Whitman, somehow.
Okay.
I'm going with Walt Whitman. It's never been Walt Whitman.
And how long have we been using leaves in tables? Post Walt Whitman, apparently.
When did we get furniture?
I mean, I feel like the
did we
Amish
get-
have been making furniture this complicated for centuries.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
feel like the German, well, probably related in that fashion, but the Germans, I feel like, would have made some fancy tables.
Yeah, as if aristocrats are making.
Well, right, but do you feel like the aristocrats just had big tables? Like they
Right.
didn't need to like. I feel like the leaves need to be where you have less space. And you have to have a smaller table for your everyday table. And like the wealthy would have already had massive tables.
They would just have a dining room that had a table big enough for the dining room.
Well, like
A leaf would be a sign of weakness, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
go.
Only a pauper would have a leaf.
I'm gonna go that a pauper couldn't afford a leaf, so I'm gonna say it's the middle class. So that's when we started having leaves.
yeah, I don't know. Fancy table is definitely an aristocratic thing. Peter the
like the
Great had a
50s?
table that like went down into the floor, so he could turn his dining room into a like dance hall.
Whoa, cool.
Yeah. Aristocrats like fancy crap, and this is fancy crap.
This is fancy crap.
Okay.
With all the pulleys and
Yes, all the
whatnot.
pulleys.
I like
So
that.
many pulleys.
With all the rubber bands.
I do
and
like the idea
and
when the table
baling wire.
leaves the dining room.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
All right, I'm saying this goes back to, Victorian era.
Yeah, it's pre-industrial revolution, so yeah, 16, 1700, something like that.
Yeah.
Feeling UK or Europe.
Yeah, agreed. It's called a leaf because they lift it out. Lift it out.
It's a lift. It's a table lift.
Yeah.
This says the term leaf stuck because hinged sections of tables, when folded, resembled leaves.
But
And early expandable tables around the 1500s, apparently.
a drop leaf does look like a leaf, right? So it was what you guys were talking about, the side, the wings,
Oh yeah, that's what I had,
and a
drop
circle
leaf.
table. If you drop them on the side, they look like leaves. But the center section is what I was thinking of as leaf. But I guess they're all called leaves.
Yeah. There are center leaves and end leaves.
Ah, okay.
So
and there
those-
are
yeah, those-
self-storing versus removable leaves. As well.
Yeah,
I like the
those are
self-storing.
cool. But it makes your table super heavy.
Right.
Why do they say it looks like a leaf when it's? Yeah,
I'm
it's just like-
unclear on that also.
Should I send you a picture? I feel like it does.
I mean, you need to send me something or share your screen or something because the ones I'm seeing at just look like a part of the table is facing a different direction.
The butterfly leaf? That is the cool one. It like folds up and origamis itself into the table.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I have seen those before. They're very cool.
Preventing wood-on-wood contact.
Wood on wood.
So do we know when when they were invented?
You said 1500s?
Good question.
That is what I got.
This is not 101. That's not everything I need to know. Woodstock Furniture and Mattress Outlet.
You tell him, Jason.
False advertising.
Table leaf is from the late 1600s. From the writings of Thomas Mace, musician and writer on music.
Okay,
See that little picture in the chat? How that looks kind of
Yeah,
like a
I
leaf?
see it.
I do not see how that looks like a leaf now.
Yeah.
This is,
I've seen a lot of leaves. But like,
it doesn't resemble any of them.
Well, that's what the internet says.
The internet's got problems, man.
yeah. Oh.
I mean, I guess we were dancing around that one.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Joey, do you know what the 4 leaves of a 4-leaf clover stand for?
Justice, probably. Good luck.
Okay, that's one.
Jesus is probably one of them.
Okay, faith, sure.
Holy Spirit.
Okay.
Oh no, one's the Pope.
Hope, faith, love, and luck.
Oh, okay.
I like justice, though. That's good. And the Pope.
Live, laugh, love, and Pope, you said? Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Colson, any good new... Is Nailed It still... are they still making new Nailed It episodes?
You know, I haven't seen a Nailed It in a while, but I'm sure it holds up.
I mean, I'm sure it holds up. It's not that old. And what kind of things you mean, like sometimes the movies from 30 years ago when we were kids, like sometimes those movies don't hold up. But if a TV show is like 3 years old,
like Dumbo, doesn't hold up,
does it not?
I don't think so.
I did see that new Snow White movie is like 1.5 tomatoes. I think it's the lowest rated movie in Rotten Tomatoes history.
Are people mad because they didn't make Snow White white?
I think that, and then I think one of the actresses was pro-Palestine, one of them was pro-Israel, so like everybody's mad. Somebody's mad at everybody.
And the CGI dwarves look like crap.
The CGI dwarves were weird, and then, the Snow White wasn't white, and it may also just be a bad movie. I don't know. I didn't see it. But...
Seems like it's a bad movie.
Is it like bad good? Like it'll be funny to watch because it's so bad? Or would it just be bad bad?
Apparently Gal Gadot's in it. Does she make any good movies?
Hey, we all loved Red Notice.
It's okay, I guess.
I saw,
Right?
she was Wonder Woman, yeah? I saw the first one I really liked.
The first one was very good.
Much not worse than the second one.
Yeah.
The second one was very bad.
Very bad movie.
Oh, I did watch that one. It was
Very forgettable.
unforgivable.
It was beyond
I mean,
pale.
in their
It was.
in their
beyond-
defense,
yeah.
it was COVID when they made it, but still, it was very
They
bad.
didn't have anything else to do. Shouldn't they have been really working hard on that thing? Did they screw it up?
I think they were all filming it in separate individual rooms on green screens, and no one was in the room together. I think probably.
I mean, it wasn't the chemistry that went wrong in that movie.
All right, team. Well,
Now that we've trashed some Gal Gadot movies.
for like no reason too.
Just Undegooglables bingo card, yeah.
Catching a shrapnel.
Just catching our strays. Ew. Don't at me, Gal Gadot. Okay? All right, team. Well, I think we have covered what we're able to for the day. And if you have questions that you need to answer, hit us up. Hit us up on social media at Undebeatables on Twitter Facebook.com/The Undebeatables. You can ask your questions there, assuming they don't get flagged by some crappy AI that's monitoring all your messages. TheUndebeatables.com is the contact form. Those will go through because I get all of those. Shout out at TheUndebeatables.com is probably the best way to get in touch with us. And if you want to communicate by buying a t-shirt, you can do that over at the website/store.
For the architect, Donnie Walsh, and our once and always Hall of Fame coach, Bobby Sickleonard. Turn out the lights, the party's over.
Very gentle. It's like a lullaby version.
Get him in there.
You put me to bed here.
Dangerous,
right.
since people already fall asleep to our show.
Yeah, we'll have to put a warning. Don't listen to this while driving.
Yeah.